Welcome to B.A.M.F Fabricator. I'm Tubal Kane. It's time to build the fender for the other side of the vehicle. We've got the flanges done on the front side and the back side. This thing's ready to mount on the vehicle, but we need to use this fender to build the other side, and we're going to do that by patterning out this fender. We're going to be using Wray Schelin's signature flexible shape pattern method to get this done. So let's get started. What you're going to need is a fine line Sharpie, a regular Sharpie, some fine line tape, some fiberglass reinforced tape, some razor blades, and some low stick masking tape. Now, Wray Schelin down at ProShaper, he has all this available to do this method, and I highly recommend this method for anybody that's trying to reproduce a panel or make the reverse panel. So let me show you how he taught me how to do it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by laying our low stick tape on this panel here, and then trimming off the excess. You want to have a little bit of gap in between. Wray says it's, you know, anything about an 1/8 inch or less is good. You want to be really accurate with your edges. Wray Schelin also has a really in-depth video on doing this. I'm just showing you this process because this is the process I'm going to use to make the other side of the fender. You don't want any bubbles or creases. There's a couple spots here where I'm overlapping. I'm going to go ahead and cut a little space in between these two pieces of tape. I'm getting to the point where I'm a little elongated here for the edges, so I'm just going to just change directions here and go somewhere like this. And I'm going to go ahead and lay this tape just like I was. I got some tape that's overlapping over here, so I'm going to go ahead and trim some of this out to give it that little bit of gap we need. Alright, so since I'm changing directions, I'm going to need to cut this excess off, so I'm just going to use that tape underneath to cut the excess and use it as a fence. I'll continue in this direction. That small gap that we need. And just continue on. Now you can see I'm cutting it right in the middle of this roll right here, and what that's going to tell me is where that roll is. So I'm going to be able to put my flange tool that I made right here and bend this edge over, right at that line. Okay, so now that we got all the low stick masking tape covering this whole panel, we're going to cover it with the fiberglass reinforced tape. But before we do that, we're going to write all our information down on this low stick masking tape so that the marker doesn't get rubbed off if we were to write it on top of the fiberglass reinforced tape. So I'm just going to start by writing 1950 Metro. That way I always know exactly what these patterns are for. Then I'm going to break these into 3 sections that we're going to make these panels in. So put one right here, one right here. These will be our weld lines. Well, I just put a mark around this edge where this bend line starts to take shape. Next, I'm going to label these panels 1, 2, 3. I'm also going to remind myself that I need 3/8 inch, add 3/8 inch down here for our roll. And do that on all 3 sections. Next, I'm going to make reference lines for our profile gauges that we're going to make. So this one will be right on the end. Do one there. Gonna have to make quite a few of these because this fender goes from narrow to wide all the way through this fender. You want to make a reference mark for where we're going to put our profile gauge and line it up. Do another one towards this end. Reference mark. Same on this side. Probably do three per section. And we're going to label these. So this one will be 1. This one will be 2. This one will be 3, 4, and so on. So now that we got all our information that we need on this panel, I'm going to go ahead and start laying the fiberglass reinforced tape across, starting from this corner. Make sure it's pushed down real nice. I'm going to cut it as accurately as possible. Now I'm going to lay this with like a 1/4 inch overlap. You want this tape to overlap. That way your pattern doesn't start coming apart. Alright, now that I'm getting to the end of this first panel, I'm going to barely go on the other side of this blue line, and that's where I'm going to split this pattern. Okay, so now that I've barely crossed this blue line right here of tape and ended with this first panel, I'm going to use this blue tape as a fence to separate these two patterns. So just like that. So take that tape off, and I'm going to put a new piece of fine line tape right on the edge where I just cut. And I'm going to use this tape as a fence for this pattern as well. That ensures that our weld line is exactly perfect when we butt these two pieces together. Just like the other side, I'm going to cut on our tape line. This time I'm cutting on this side. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and make our profile gauges. The way we're going to do this is starting with the first one. I'm just going to hold this up to the edge because our profile gauge on the edge is right here. And I'm just going to pretty much just trace this out. I'm going to cut that out with a razor blade. Alright, so we got our trace mark. I'm just going to cut that out real quick. Get a little more off the end here. And I'm going to hold it up. It looks pretty good there. We put our reference marks down on the underside on the low stick tape. I'm going to mark where our reference point is. And with this one, I'm going to mark where the end is too. And I'm going to mark this 1. So that's number 1. It fits pretty good on there when we line up our reference mark. And that's our first one. We'll do the same thing continuing on. Okay, and for the second one, I'm going to just kind of go from where I think it's at. Somewhere like that, and we'll cut that out, and we'll check it. You cut it a little far on this side. Okay, so the front looks pretty good, but I cut way too much off the back side. So what I did was I sheared this piece, and now I know that the front's good. And what I'm gonna do here, I'm just going to set that on there where it needs to be, and I'm gonna lay a little piece of tape to put this back to where it looks pretty good. I'll just trace the edge of that. So if you could see that, now this will be pretty good. Now I could just use this to mark exactly on there, and then we can fine tune it from there. Okay, so I'm just gonna lay this piece on here like that. Go ahead and mark this with the Sharpie on the inside where I just taped it. I'm gonna cut that out. All right, and let's check it. Okay, I could take a little more off of this side, so I'm just gonna get some 80 grit. I'm just sanding this corner a little bit. Check it again. I got a couple little gaps, so I'm just going to sand where it's hitting, that way it fits real nice. Okay, that's fitting really good. So I'm going to go ahead and mark where my reference line is on both sides. And this is number 2. I'm just going to do that all the way across. All right, guys, this pattern is done. We got all the information we need. We got our profile gauges made, and this is ready to pull these off of here, reverse them, and start building the other fender for the other side of the vehicle. I hope I did a good representation of Wray Schelin's flexible shape pattern. And if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.